Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Costa, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you. I want to thank the chairman and our subcommittee chairs, as well as our staff that have worked very hard to put this together. I want to begin by indicating that I support the efforts to move on this legislation, but have similar concerns that my colleague, Congressman Ed Case, just, I think, detailed. The fact is that we have multiple crises, as the chairman noted, around the country, from droughts to in California in the West, to fires, to issues of the impacts. It was noted by one of our other colleagues by this horrific Hurricane Ida that has not only affected Louisiana and Mississippi, but has gone completely up the eastern coast, and we've seen the devastation this morning in places like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. Clearly, our committee needs to address issues of climate change that we find ourselves unable to deal with as it relates to every region of the country. And that doesn't even begin to talk about the pandemic, obviously, that we have been with for 18 months. These are challenging times, historical times in our nation's history. And we have to ultimately look at how we respond and invest in America. And I have been one who has argued for a long time that we need to invest in our infrastructure. That's why I support the bipartisan infrastructure package that I hope we'll vote on later this month. This reconciliation process is challenging for all of us. And we have to agree with the Senate ultimately to get something done. My Republican colleagues, who I always like to work with on a bipartisan basis, but given the delusion of amendments today, clearly it's a strategy to simply slow down the process. And while I always would take amendments by any of our colleagues seriously, I wonder what the real intent of the amendments that we see before us today. I will reserve my judgment. I will vote for this measure in our committee today. The expenditures versus the revenues, I think, are not in balance, as Congressman Case indicated. We have to work on that and determine, how we pay for these things that are non-COVID, non-climate change related under the rule. And at the end of the day, I am going to vote for something that we have consensus with our colleagues in the Senate that is pragmatic and practical and that reflects the needs of our country. Yes, the situation, as the chairman noted, in Louisiana is devastating. Every region in the country seems to be having impacted in one way or another, but that doesn't mean that we can't multitask. So the work today is important. I don't know what marathon of voting that, Mr. Chairman, I have your support. I mean, I support your efforts. God bless all of us as we try to work through this. But the bottom line is that we got to move this process forward, and we'll all have the ability at the end of the day to determine what we think a reconciliation measure looks like between the House and the Senate that is paid for, that is practical and meets the needs that the president has stipulated to build this country back together, build back it better in a way that invests in America's future. So I yield back the balance of my time. These critical investments are necessary, but clearly we have a lot of work to do to make this process facilitate in a way that reflects the needs of our country.